Tay Roc responds to the recent controversy surrounding him using a verse that he used versus Mike P on the premiere of Hitman Holla's Bags and Bodies. What did Tay Roc have to say? Let's talk about it. You guys are already aware of what's been going on surrounding Tay Roc and Tay Roc having recycled material that he used versus Mike P, you know what I'm saying, Mike Police, in one of their Zoom battles during the quarantine era, you know what I'm saying, recycling a whole verse and using it on Hitman Holla's Bags and Bodies episode 1 premiere on Coastal Rain TV. We're all familiar with what's been going on, man. DNA Tooth, as usual, put it together for us and literally put side by side the verses that were used in both situations, in both circumstances, Mike P and then Hitman Holla's Bags and Bodies situation. Quick reminder.
Hey, big round in front of Mike. It ain't a pop block. You trying to stop Rock? Big round in front of Mike. It ain't a pop block. You wanted Rock? You got the right man. I don't like fans. You wanted Rock? You got the right man. I don't like fans. Tyson, Jordan, and Jackson. I ain't a Mike fan. Tyson, Jordan, and Jackson. I ain't a Mike fan. Headshot if you trying to fight, fam. Your niggas gonna have to help you up and adjust how Mike stand. You get knocked out if you trying to fight, fam. Your niggas gotta help you up and adjust how Mike stand. I'm the type man that'll ruin your wedding. As soon as he say I do, I'll ring on him using a Wesson. I'm the type to ruin your wedding. You say I do, I'll ring on him using a Wesson. Catch him and his bitch at a restaurant, beautiful setting. I catch Mike and his bitch at a restaurant, beautiful setting. And I'm gonna Mike up in that booth. It's a studio session. Then Mike up in that booth. It's a studio session. And something on your body might go broke. If you say you fucking with Rock, well, we know Mike blow coke. Don't spend your quarantine money, Michael. You might go broke. If he's saying he's fucking with Rock, he might blow coke. I'm on the roof with it. Him and his wife don't know. I'm on the roof with it. Him and his wife don't know. Sniper rifle. I have everybody in Mike Low scope. Sniper rifle. Everybody in Mike Low scope. Like Eddie and Martin. Life's no joke. Eddie and Martin. Life's no joke. Boy, you're a bozo. You're a bozo. And I will walk up to you at an event like it's for a photo. I'll walk up to you at an event like it's for a photo. And have Mike stretched out under my shoe. It's a Jordan logo. And have Mike stretched out under my shoes. Jordan logo.
All right, man. So that's the verse, right? That Tay Roc recycled on Hitman Holla's Bags and Bodies premiere. That's the verse right there, side by side. You know what I'm saying? It was put together for us by none other than DNA Tooth. You know what I'm saying? So we were able to see and compare and contrast whether or not this was actually the case. And it turns out that that's actually the case. But that's not the situation. We're not trying to prove whether or not that's what happened. The situation then became, you know what I'm saying, a conversation about whether or not this mattered, right? The reason it became a situation of not whether or not this mattered was because this was not recycled and reused in a battle. That's the primary and sole reason that the question came about. Does this matter? You know what I'm saying? So some people tried to go, you know what I'm saying, answer that question and go about the situation and the controversy in whatever angle and whatever way that they decided to. Just yesterday, this is one of those topics that is kind of sensitive, right? So you're not going to see a lot of coverage on it. You know what I'm saying? Because it doesn't really make one of the URL characters look good. It doesn't really put you in a very good light. So it's not something that necessarily the media is going to be covering. Only certain people. You know what I'm saying? So this is one of those situations where I went online and I'm starting to look around to see if anybody else is talking about or what they have to say about the situation. Just to see it, just to hear what people got to say about it. And I saw John Rhimes is one of the bloggers who I saw who did a live stream yesterday and made a very interesting point, right? As it pertains to this whole Tay Roc recycling an entire verse in this situation. Made a very good point, right? And I'm somebody who It's devil's advocate, so I can see and try to see things from both sides. And the point that was made by my man John Rhimes was that this situation and this show, right, was not meant for this specific battle rap culture, right? It wasn't meant for us that are already in the battle rap culture and already are aware and understand who the people are and what's going on and what battle rap is and blah, blah, blah. This is in fact, or this show is in fact for, and to try to get people that are not familiar with battle rap, don't know about battle rap, to try to reel them in to battle rap, which I completely understand. You know what I'm saying? I completely understand that. That makes absolute perfect sense. Like, that is very true. Like if this was on TV, that's true. It'd be a very different situation. I feel like if this was on actual television, on national television, then there would be a little bit less of a microscope on it as it pertains to what bloggers and people are talking about when it pertains to recycling, if it was actually on national television. But the thing with that point is that this show ended up not being on television. Like, this show ended up not being on television. I don't know if that was the purpose initially. I don't know if the purpose of this show was to actually try and be sold as or to television or something like that, but that it ended but that actually ended up falling through. I'm not sure if that's the case. You know what I'm saying? Like, if this show was actually on television, then it would make a little bit more sense as to why Tay Roc, you know what I'm saying, would recycle an entire verse, you know what I'm saying, and try to act it off and play it off as if it's a brand new thing, even to the battle rappers that are there, you know what I'm saying, cheating the battle rappers that are there. You know what I'm saying? It's like, if it was on television, then I can see how, or be more empathetic to that situation, because it would be in front of the eyes of millions of people who could potentially be attracted to battle rap and maybe lead them to checking out battle rap in its entirety in the culture. You know what I'm saying? But in this situation specifically, this was recycled and used on a show that is now on an exclusive app, right? So who is this recycled verse actually being exposed to is the thing ultimately now, as it pertains to, because that's a very good point. That's not something that, like, that's a very good point. Like, yeah, it's not meant for, or it wasn't meant for the battle rap community that's already familiar with Tay Roc and knows all the material and battles that he's done, and knows this is meant for people that are not familiar with to become attracted to and possibly persuade them to start to follow battle rap and take some kind of interest in it because it was so dope what Tay Roc put together supposedly in an hour. That's the objective. I get that. But the situation here now becomes, okay, if it was on TV, that would be a very good point. That would be a point that would probably defeat all points of points. It's like, all right, this is not meant for, this is meant for people that are not cool. It's on TV. Yeah, that makes sense. But in this situation, again, I go back to, this is on an exclusive app to where the only people that are subscribing and even know about the situation is the battle rap community, the hardcore battle rap community. You know what I'm saying? So at that point, it's like, yes and no. Yes and no. You know what I'm saying? But I get what the situation is. But also, I came across, and by the way, Tay Roc responds. He responds to this whole situation. He responds by not responding. This is what Tay Roc says. He says, certain shit don't even gotta be said. Certain shit don't even gotta be said. I'll put a screenshot. That's Tay Roc's response to the situation. I feel like that's a pretty good response. You know what I'm saying? I feel like it's a good response because he's absolutely right. You're absolutely right, Tay Roc. certain things don't need to be said. Certain things don't need to be addressed. As a matter of fact, the topic of conversation just recently was battle rappers are too accessible. Battle rappers are too accessible, bro. That's one of the things that I feel like is affecting a lot of battle rappers. You know what I'm saying? Some may be positive, but a lot negatively, because a lot of battle rappers are way too accessible. For example, Averb, who just puts himself out there and puts every single thought that's running through his mind out there, regardless of how it's going to make him look, regardless of how many people are going to now look at him in a different light and maybe support him or not support him, and blah. Averb has no concern into that. So Tay Roc, that's a very good, and I feel like it's a PC response, but it's a smart response though, because this Tay Roc, you can't really defend whether or not you actually recycled this verse. So there's no way to actually justify the situation or anything like that. So it's a very smart approach to say something like certain don't even got to be said. You know what I'm saying? Because some of us are having the conversation for him. So it really doesn't even matter. So it's a smart response. Tay Roc, I respect it. Somebody else who I came across who made a blog about this recently, Piper Boy. I watched the blog, and I don't usually seek Piper Boy blogs, but this topic of conversation is something to where I'm interested to see what anybody has to say, everybody. Because again, the primary media sources and things like that are not going to talk about these types of situations because it makes Tay Roc look away. It makes Tay Roc look away. And when you have an asset to the URL who's under the umbrella, who is one of their, you know what I'm saying, main guys, you got to take attention away from that type of thing. You can't really bring any attention to that. You got to take it away from it, if anything. You know what I mean? One of the points that Piper Boy made that I thought was very interesting and I never even thought of was copywritten material. Like copywritten, the fact that that is copywritten material. Now, I'm not necessarily sure how that works as far as the contracts come into play or as far as how ownership comes into play, how the URL is set up as far as ownership goes. And I'm not sure, but the point of copywritten material. So even though, right, that verse was written by Tay Roc and Tay Roc came up with the verse in itself, right, and the content belongs to the URL. Belongs to the URL. It's on the app. You can't screen record, you can't security police, all that type of stuff. So the point came into play, which I thought, again, was a very interesting point. And I didn't even think about this or look at it in that way because I didn't think, and I don't think that URL would ever, I don't think URL would bring something like that to court or try to sue Tay Roc or Hitman over having used material that technically belongs to the URL. I mean, it was word for word. It's not even like anything was changed up or anything like that. I'm not sure how that would come into play as it pertains to ownership and all these things, because now Hitman Holla technically would be making some kind of royalty and some kind of money off of content and material that URL already owns. Technically, that's what would be happening. You know what I'm saying? That's literally technically what would be happening. Now, I'm not sure if the fact that it wasn't used in a battle, right, and Hitman Holla's Bags and Bodies isn't labeled a battle rap league, right? Because these things might matter. Now we start to get into the details, into, you know what I'm saying? How does that matter? The fact that that content was reused on a different platform. I don't think Bags and Bodies identifies as a battle rap league, right? So it's not like they can be a competitor. So URL can't necessarily label them a competitor, even though Bags and Bodies does host battles, which is a loophole to the situation. But that starts to get confusing, bro. That whole situation. That starts to get kind of messy. But it was a good point that I feel was brought about, you know what I'm saying, by Piper Boy. So I'm not sure if that's something that makes the situation actually matter a little bit more than people might think. I don't know. I don't know how that works. I don't know how that's going to go. But I'm sure URL right now is not worried about, you know what I'm saying, like looking and trying to press charges or sue people over, or sue Tay Roc or Hitman over having used some content. You know what I'm saying? I don't think that's, you know what I'm saying, necessarily the energy over there right now. But it was a very good point. So Tay Roc responds, bro, to the whole situation and lets us know that some things don't even got to be addressed. Some things don't even got to be said. I respect it. after hearing out, you know what I'm saying, John Rhimes' point, you know what I'm saying, that one of the reasons that this was done was because this wasn't meant for us, the people that are already in the culture. We're already in the culture. The idea is to get more people that are not a part of the culture into the culture. That's the idea behind a show like this. So I completely understand that point and I respect it. It's just this show didn't end up on television. So it didn't end up in a place where a bunch of people that are not familiar with battle rap are going to be exposed to that material, to that content. It didn't end up in that type of situation. Had it ended up on that type of situation on national television like VH1 or whatever the case is, Wild 'N Out type of situation, then I could understand more so, okay, that's going to appeal to a bigger audience that is not familiar necessarily with the culture. And then Piper Boy's point of this could possibly matter more than people might think, because this is material that belongs technically to the URL platform, which now in turn, you know what I'm saying, Hitman is going to monetize off of on his platform. So that could be a huge conflict of interest. So I need to know what you guys think, man. Very, very interesting situation, you know what I mean? But it doesn't seem as if though Tay Roc is concerned, and I respect that. Let me know what you guys think, man. You already know what it is. It's your boy Dro coming at you live and direct from the battle.